Welcome to Centre Court with thanks to OMF. Kick back and relax with an adjustable bed from Australian design and owned OMF. Watch sport your way. And Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. Grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. I'm Bianca Chatfield. Welcome to Centre Court and Maddie Brown is alongside me. Maddie, we only got 2 games to enjoy this weekend. Split round. But 2 pretty good games at that.
They were 2 pretty good games, B. But yeah, I was kind of like going, what am I going to do on the other days? I'm missing 2 games of netball and sitting there going, I'm really wanting a little bit extra. So I'm looking forward to these 2 matches coming up this weekend.
Well, what you should have been doing was eating chocolate, as I was doing. Let's get into the OMF overview. Watch sport your way. And we'll take a look firstly at our snakes and ladders for you. Only obviously 2 games happened on the weekend, but some significant changes, especially look at the top of there with the Thunderbirds going from first position all the way down to 3rd. The Mavericks, though, flying up high. They've gone from 7th. They're sitting in the top 4 now. I think that was a real season-changing performance for the Mavericks, considering they still have injury worries, but continue to find a way, even though they've lost their first 2 of the season.
And I mean, you look at that as well. Thunderbirds going from 1 to 3. It just shows how important every single game is. You drop 1, you can go 2 to 3 spots down. You win 1, you go 2 to 3 spots up. Interesting in that, though, in the bottom 4, 3 of those 4 have games this week. Firebirds sitting in the hot seat, though, 2nd and still got a game under their belt. So, I mean, super impressed with them so far.
Now, the Swifts and Thunderbirds played off. The Swifts got the win there. Was that everything that you were expecting out of that game?
Well, I picked the Swifts to get the win over the Adelaide Thunderbirds. I think they showed a little bit of a blueprint that when the pressure kind of gets put on the Thunderbirds, and there hasn't always been a lot, there's been a little bit, but they usually lead from the start and then continue to lead throughout the game and then push really ahead. But once the pressure really started to be put back on the Thunderbirds, they started to tense up a little bit and started to make really unforced errors that we don't usually see in their game, throwing balls away, little contacts. I mean, the penalty count in the first half for the Swifts compared to the Thunderbirds was huge, and it was like maybe the umpires had gone, actually, you know what, there's, I think 19 to 30 it was in the first half, and it really started to even out in the second. So it just shows when the pressure is put on the Thunderbirds, they aren't invincible and things can happen. But obviously a massive thing for that game was Romelda Aiken-George celebrating her.
That was the OMF overview. Kick back and relax with an adjustable bed from Australian designed and owned OMF. Watch sport your way. We now get to welcome in Queensland Firebirds Emily Moore to the show. The Firebirds are absolutely flying at the minute. 2 from 2 to start the season, and then you got to be part of a split round and have a weekend off just to enjoy all the celebrations. What did you get up to in your bye week?
Yeah, I really love the bye week, actually. It's the first time netball have done it, I think. And for me, I got a couple of days down at the Goldie. The weather was lovely up here. So really soaking up that Queensland weather.
Emily, it's great to see you getting some more court time this season. How have you seen your pre-season into round 1 and 2 performances evolve so far?
Yeah, I think we worked really hard this preseason. I mean, I feel like all clubs do the same thing in preseason in terms of you want to work hard on your fitness, you want to work hard on your strength, and you want to build those connections on and off court. And we made sure that we did that. And I think it's resulted in first 2 games being wins for us. But obviously it's only round 2. So we want to keep pushing on from here and make sure that we keep going up.
Now, there's so many new things about this Firebirds lineup. I know everyone's probably been asking you about your goal shooter in Mary Chollock, and of course we want to know about her. But you've also got a new coach in Kitty Wills. Can you give us an understanding in what it's like at the club at the moment? And just, you know, we heard Kitty Wills come out and talk about the culture piece of the club and how things are changing and how, you know, it's a new year. Can you give us an understanding of what it feels like to be part of the club right now?
Yeah, it's an awesome place to be. And to be honest, there's been a lot of talk about the culture, and I think obviously the media will continue to jump on that. But to be honest with you, I don't know why they keep asking, because it's really evident to us inside, and I imagine to those looking on that the culture is really great here. Obviously, like you said, new coach, we've got 3 new players in our team. So this preseason, we were always going to build those connections, and we've done just that. And I think it's left us firing come round 1. So the culture here is awesome. It's a great place to be every single day, and I couldn't be more grateful to work here.
I love that because I've always been someone that, you know, if you're having to talk about it, it's not really happening.
Yes.
And the Firebirds aren't talking about it, everyone else is. So it's definitely happening for you. I want to talk about your connection with Mary Trollope, though. It's been building as it's gone. She hasn't been in the country that long. How have you seen that combination starting to come about?
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to work with Mary and to see that combination building is good. But honestly, I think we're going to keep building because you're right. She hasn't been there for that long. She's an absolute superwoman. She is not only, 2 meters under the post, but the way she can move, the way she shoots and what she brings to this team is just enormous. So we're very, very lucky to have her. And I think you'll see her continue to build over the next few games. And also, for those of us that are feeding her and working around her, those connections are only going to build as the season goes, which is really exciting for us.
And I mean, you do more than just feed her. You're also putting in a big volume of shots, taking the super shot, which we love to see. I want to ask you about what it's like playing in this hometown derby that's happening this weekend against the Sunshine Coast Lightning. I'm sure there's plenty of spice. Maddie and I were part of the Melbourne ones. Give us an insight into what it's like when the two Queensland teams play each other.
Yeah, I think the Queensland Derby is probably one of our favourite games just because you are playing for a little bit more. Obviously, competition points is, something you want to get, but also playing to be, I guess, that team in Queensland that has, got the win and you can kind of have the bragging rights until the next round comes around. So there'll definitely be some fire in there. I think every time we play Lightning, it's a physical game because there's just so much for both of us on the line. So really looking forward to it and hopefully we can get up.
Emily, are you finding now with a bit more court time this season, there's any part of your game that you're really wanting to focus on? As we said, you're dominant with the ball in hand in the feeds, you're dominant with the ball in hand and a threat to the shot, but now you're getting to be that kind of experienced person down there. How are you wanting to then evolve your game and what can we look out to go, you know what, she's working on that and we can actually see those improvements?
Oh gosh, if I could list just one thing, that would be amazing. There's so many things that I'm working on continually every single training and every single week. And I think that's really important for not just me, but all my teammates. We want to make sure that even when we're winning games, we're looking at how we can be better, how we can improve and make sure that every time we step out on that court, we're doing the best we can. So yeah, for me, just knowing my role and that will change week to week, depending on the opposition and things like that. So just making sure I fine tune my basic skills, but also look at, as you said, how I can be a threat and make sure that the pressure isn't always on Mary.
I want to ask you about one of your teammates and co-captains in Ruby Bakewell-Doran. I mean, she has been on fire in the defensive end, a combination with Isabel Shearer as well. I'm loving everything that they are doing. Do you think her taking on a leadership role has really given her more energy out there on court? She seems like a different player with a new lease of life.
It's interesting, actually. I guess for me, I've probably seen that from Rubes before she had the leadership role. And, we went a long part of the preseason without having our captains announced. So I sort of saw that from her, but potentially it has given her that extra energy. But to be honest, Rubes is an absolute mongrel on court and she will 110%. And I think you're right, that combination with Giz is really building and it will continue to do so over the season. Same with Ash coming into the mix there. The more game time those girls get together, the better it's going to be. So yeah, she's had an absolute cracking start to the season and I can't wait to see what else she does in the next few rounds.
Emily, we love the on-court chat, but on our show we like to just kind of be a little bit more relaxed and loosen up. Is there anything away from the court that you like to do? Are there any hobbies, constant habits or things that you're like, this is what makes me, tick? And Ava Black was all about the quotes and things like that. What about you? What's the Emily Moore signature off the court?
Interesting. Not sure I have a signature as such. I work another job at a school, so plenty of time spent there, but I love getting to the beach when I can. I think moving from Sydney up to Queensland, I initially hoped there would be a beach in Brisbane. South Bank doesn't quite make the cut. But when I've got time to get to the Goldie or the sunny coast, I love that. And my other recent thing, I guess, is Rubik's Cube. So I've been learning that on the flight and I've recently mastered it. So just trying to keep on top of it, make sure I remember how to do it before I forget.
Yeah,
so are you like timing it to see how long it takes? I mean, I've never been able to complete one, nor have I really tried, but how long does it take you to complete it?
Well, I haven't timed myself yet. I only just mastered it. Helita actually taught me how and she can do it in, I think, about 40 something seconds. I tried to give her a race once and she smoked me. So I'm just practicing a bit more before I take her on again.
See, that is the inside stuff I love. You know, we might need to have like a little off the court, you know, Rubik's battle or something like that.
You need to be putting that on your socials so we can see it on the planes when the battle's going on behind the scenes.
Love it.
Also wanted to touch on with you your experience of living in Queensland. We know you came through the New South Wales pathway. Are you now calling Queensland home? Is that where we're going to see Emily Moore play her netball career out?
I definitely call Queensland home, except when it comes to the state of origin. I will never support the Maroons. I'm the Blues at heart there. But I love Queensland. Honestly, the traffic is better, the weather is better, and it's just a really nice place to be. So I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to come up here, and I've made immediate friends. Like, that's a beautiful thing about netball or any team sport. You know, when you walk into a team, you're gifted all these beautiful friends, and they've become my family up here. So while I miss my people in Sydney sometimes, I absolutely love life up in Queensland and definitely plan to be here for the next little while.
Well, that is so great to hear, because you are certainly loving life out there on court. The Firebirds, I cannot wait to see what they do in season 2025. It's exciting to watch. All the best for this weekend and for the rest of the season, Emily.
Thanks so much, guys. See you later.
Mads, how great was it to hear from Emily? Often a player we don't get to hear a lot from, but I mean, the Firebirds are flying. She's flying. What a person.
Oh, I love hearing just, you know, people, like you said, that we don't get to get an insight into, you know, how they train, how they go about their business. So well spoken. I loved a few things from her. She's a role player. She's got that growth mindset, and, you know, she's obviously loving what she's doing. And even though she's maybe a younger player within the mix, she's still going, how can I get better myself, but how can I get the players around me absolutely firing as well. So I loved hearing from her, and hopefully we get to speak to her a little bit more.
I know, and put it out to the Firebirds. If you're good at the Rubik's Cube and you've got a time that you can do it under, put it out there to Halita Veve, and we want to see what times they're coming up with, because they'll have a lot of time on plane this season to be able to work that out and nail it. I certainly will not be able to. Well, it's time for the good oil, thanks to Cobram Estate, Australian extra virgin olive oil. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is that New Zealand are now apparently weighing up what is happening with Grace Wecke and her eligibility to play with the Silver Ferns. Now, if you don't know, or you haven't understood what's happened, when Grace Wecke decided to come over to and play in the Australian League, she forfeited the right to represent the Silver Ferns in this calendar year. I don't know, I said it last week off the back of no intel from here that they'd have to be reviewing that, because they don't want to lose their best shooter, one of the best shooters in the world, if not the best shooter in the world. Mads, what did you make of this?
Well, not surprised either. I mean, I can understand it from their league's point of view. They want their very own homegrown talent playing in their league. They want those big names to be bringing in the bums to seats and in their arenas. I understand all of that, but she has made a really tough choice to come and play against the world's best. And even after the weekend's performance, coming up against those Sunshine Girls, the Jamaicans, and showing, you know what, I can take those hits. I've got this cool, calm, collective composure about my game now. You'd go, why wouldn't you want her playing in this league? This is only going to further your potential, rankings and success at big tournaments. I'd love to see a few more New Zealanders over here, but, you know, to actually get those players over, I think we need to expand with some extra teams so that we're not also losing our player pathways for Australian as well. But not surprised. And, there is whispers that their league is potentially in a fragile situation and maybe not going to be financially backed in the future. And what does that mean for those players? Will they be knocking on our shores saying, please pick us, we want to play, we want to be in and amongst the world's best. So, yeah, not surprised at that kind of reverse in a way, but I think it's all for good. Like, this is not only good for world netball, it's good for Grace, and it's good for the league and the competition to have players like her playing in our competition week in, week out.
I mean, and to be honest, don't just let the New Zealand players come and play in Suncorp Super Netball. I say let's just bring in 2 teams from New Zealand next season. Make the competition bigger, get back to the old ANZ Champs days where teams used to fly over there for the weekend and play. 2 New Zealand teams. Should we just add that? Is that as simple as that?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not doing any of the financials around it. I just say I think that would be so great for the competition to have 2 New Zealand teams in it. Let's see what happens in the future. Well, one other thing we want to touch on is Romelda Aitken-George. A huge milestone for her. 233 games across the ANZ Championship and Suncorp Super Netball. you know, where she deserves the most kudos, I think, is that she made the leap of faith in 2008 when it wasn't really done for Jamaicans to come out here. She had a massive change of culture, training, everything about the way she did things in Jamaica was the opposite to how they did things. And I remember the Queensland Firebirds talking about how much they had to try and support her through just the simple little things about what you eat after a game and really changing the way she trained. And she's been in this league and been so dominant for so long. Like, what a player she's been.
I think that's the most important point about it to be. Like, she has been the pioneer for not only the Jamaicans, but all of the internationals to take that leap of faith and come over onto our Australian shores and play in our league. She's shown that, you know, you not only can do it really well and have the benefit of that individual kind of achievements, but she's had team success. She's been part of 4 premierships. She's had to go the hard way around it at times when, you know, you think, oh, she's 6 foot, she's a tall shooter, she'll be able to play at the one club the whole time. But she's been at the Firebirds. She then went to the Swifts when they said, we don't need you anymore, coming back as a mother, what that looked like, and then to come over to the Adelaide Thunderbirds. And she's like a fine wine. She keeps getting better. It's just like, I don't understand how much better she can get, but yeah, she continues to impress us with her off-court and her on-court and just the person that she's grown. It's been a privilege to watch her develop into that person, I think, for so many years.
And those games are going to keep climbing, I think. Well, that was the good oil. Thanks to Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil, grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. Now this is where I hand over the reins to Maddie for Maddie's Minute.
Oh, B, I've been dying to get this one out. I wanted to get a few more games and a few more stats behind me to make sure that I was actually making sense, and there was something behind this Maddie's Minute. But I want to talk about the double-doubles and the triple-doubles. Now, if you're a basketball fan, you know that what that means is having double digits in a couple of different stats. And for me, I want to focus on goal attacks. I think that there's a few different teams playing the goal attack role really well, and it's working in their favour. And other teams that are maybe missing this mark, that is not actually working in their favour, and they're losing games. So, a few little stats. Helen Housby, I want to see a double-double, and that means in volume, and that is in your goal assists. She usually averages around the teens, a 17 or a 19 scoring volume, and that's a combination of 1 and 2 pointers. But she's also been having 16, even 26 assists in the second and third round games that she has played. Compared to others where they are less dominant in the volume and they create more opportunities through goal assists, that's a role of a wing attack. Leave that to the middies. Let them do that. We want to see getting into the circle and being a real threat. Other people that have been able to do it, Firebirds Emily Moore nailed it round 2 and 3, 18 scoring involvements, high centre pass receives, high second face receives. So that's where the triple comes in. If you can get the volume, the goal assists, and even the centre pass receives or a second phase received in that double figures, you're absolutely killing it as a goal attack. And it shows that when you are hitting that mark for your team wins.
Ooh, do you know what? I love it. And every time that you've spoken to me about it, whether that's been in commentary with Fox Netball or here, you see how significant it is for teams when their goal attack plays more of a role, but is a smartly chooses. It only has to be 10 plus, right, to tick off that stat. But the fact that they can be versatile and add wherever their team needs them to add at the moment.
And it's also having sometimes that security through that goal attack position. I mean, Lightning against the Thunderbirds were trying a whole lot of different things last week and just could not find the right mix, and that maybe played a bit of a detrimental role to them. Dwyer is a big one for the Giants, playing way more of that goal assist role, not dominating in the 2 points like she's used to, not putting enough volume. I mean, Harton and Leatherborough are their bigger volume shooters, and yet we haven't seen that combination. They're struggling to get a win. Like, is that just a simple fix in defining your roles? I mean, Emily Moore even said it, know your role, play your role, and it's just the basic stuff that leave that to the wing attack or leave that to the centre. Your role is to threaten in the goal circle, to assist the goaler. But you still have to be putting up that volume. And even another one on the weekend that I cannot go past is Unique Pallavi. She was the perfect example.
Good.
Like, so good. I mean, she had 11 scoring involvements, 16 goal assists and 14 centre pass receives. Now, this is a person that hasn't played a lot of minutes in that role. She's mainly a goal shooter. But it just shows that if you can nail what your specific job on court is, your team can get a win.
Yes, and she was so smart in the way she went about it, and not even just smart in her movements or her no-look passes, she does all of that, but the fact that sometimes she just stayed completely out of the circle, made sure she took a defender with her and was happy not to run and move around the whole third. She just stayed put in the pocket and then made everybody else make a decision about what happens next. So love seeing Unique.
Yeah, working smarter, not harder. I'm all about that. Absolutely. Played the perfect goal attack game, and once again, that's why Mavs are on the winnings list.
Well, love the Matties Minute. We're going to keep an eye out for that, for the double-doubles, for the triple-doubles. We'll see what happens from the goal attacks coming up in the split round. Now, let's hear from this week's local legend. Thanks to CRT, farming starts with CRT. Today, we hear from Ella Stevens from Billabong Crows Football Netball Club.
My name's Ella Stevens. I'm from Albury, New South Wales. I play for the Billabong Crows and my position is goal attack, goal shooter.
Describe your team in 3 words.
Encouraging, passionate and enthusiastic.
What's your pre-game ritual?
A big bowl of plain pasta with cheese the night before.
What's the best pre-game advice you've received?
Leaving everything out on the court.
What's your hidden talent?
I can swing into defence if needed.
What's your go-to pump-up song?
It's That Time by Fisher.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Probably chocolate.
What's your game day snack?
A hot bucket of chips.
What's your game face?
Aggressive.
What's your favourite netball position and why?
Goal attack, because you have the ability to defend as well as shoot.
What's the most embarrassing thing that's happened on court?
Probably in my juniors, the time I ran into a pole.
If you had to describe your play style in 1 word, what would it be?
Hardworking.
What's the most random thing in your netball bag?
Probably eyebrow gel.
If your team were a reality show, what would it be called?
Definitely Keeping Up with the Crows.
What's the funniest thing a teammate has ever said during a game?
Probably someone yelling out which way's left.
I tell you what a local legend Ella is. I absolutely love that. And what I love the most is you don't often hear a goal attack describe themselves as aggressive, that she loves defending just as much as she loves attacking. Ella, plenty of double-doubles, I reckon, in Ella's game day stats.
What would have been in your bag, Bianca? Would you have had eyebrow gel, or what would have been?
Oh, gee, that
fake tan glove?
Fake tan glove maybe, just in case there's some touch-ups needed. What about
We might need to work on the reality TV show of Centre Court too. I don't know what it's going to be, but
I'm a big Keeping Up with Kardashians fan, so I'm sure I'd be a good Keeping Up with the Crows fan.
we might be dance mums or something like that.
Well, thank you so much, Ella. We absolutely loved your work, and that was our local legends. No matter where you live or what you farm, it starts with CRT. Now, we do know it's a split round in Super Netball, so we had 2 games last weekend. So coming up, there is only 2 games this weekend, and the one we really want to focus on is the Vixens and Fever. Huge rivalry between these 2 sides. We know they've stolen premierships off each other in the past kind of 4 or 5 years. It always is generally a really close match. It doesn't get much closer than the preliminary final last year as well, where the Vixens beat the Fever. What do you expect is going to happen in this one, Mads? It's hard to tell.
I mean, we've talked about, was the Vixens win against the Giants, was it as affirming as we would have hoped, or are the Giants really in struggle town and, it was an easier opponent and that's where they got, I think this is going to be a real standout performance for both, or standout game for both teams to go, where are you really at? Fever, desperate to get a win. Yeah, and we don't usually see them down the bottom. Vixens, I think, need to show that, we still are the diamond-studded team that we are, and that we do have that, a game A, game B, we've got multiple, we can play on instinct, we can play with flair, we take those risks. We've still got that really, frugal game plan. I think it's going to be really tightly contested, but word has just got out, obviously, some disappointing news in the Fever camp. Ruth Ariang is out with an Achilles injury.
Oh, shattering that news. She was having such a good season.
Yeah, so, there has been that whole question around Janelle. And this could be the moment that we see Janelle Fowler-Nemard take to the court in 2025. I mean, all of us have fingers crossed, hoping that she's in great physical and mental condition to be able to join us back. Shattering news for Ruth, but maybe this is what the Fever need. They need that focal, strong Janelle powerhouse back. I think it also shuffles their lineup really well. They've got a Fran Williams sitting there, haven't used a lot. She's an experienced international. Would love to see her getting more minutes. Maybe this shuffle is exactly what they need to just get back on the winners bandwagon.
That is very interesting, and we always know Dan Ryan is very good at his strategy and tactics and the versatility all the players seem to have. So watch this space. Will this be the return of Janelle Fowler-Nemard? And our thoughts go out to Ruth Ariang as well. Such a tough situation to have a ruptured Achilles. That will be probably a 9-12 month injury, but we really do hope to see her back wearing the green next season. Okay, Maddie, it's time now for the Strutties Social Scoop. Strutties innovating netball apparel. Now, this week we have a question from Annie, and she asks, what is the point of the split round? You know what, Annie? I love your question because you actually made us think about it. And we were thinking, we knew it was a split round, but we actually don't really know why.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, was it because there was Easter and Anzac Day, lots of public holidays, maybe venue availability? Look, I mean, Annie, I'd love to give you a really concise answer to this, but I really don't know myself. I mean, I don't mind having a bye round. I mean, round 3, most teams would be like, oh, it's really early. We've only just started. Like, do we really need it round 3? But then other teams on the flip side, like a Mavs, having a Sasha Glasgow out would be like, you know what, this couldn't have come at a better time for us. She gets an extra 2 weeks. We get to have our star shooter back. So, I mean,
they still got the win too without her.
I mean, yeah, I don't mind a split round as such, but, maybe we need one split round in round 4 and then maybe one again in round 8. We all come back together this week. But yeah, I'd love to give you a really good answer, Annie, but I don't understand the point either.
That was a Social Scoop. Thanks to Strutties. Make sure you send in your questions to be featured on next week's Social Scoop, all thanks to Strutties Netball Apparel. Designed for the next generation of superstars. Style meets performance at Strutties. Strutties.com.au. Mads, thank you again. Another big centre court. We love finding out exactly what's happening each and every round, and we will be back next week. A big thank you to OMF, Watch Sport Your Way, and Cobram Estate Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. See you next week.